So, Indian Institute of Farming System Research, if you trace back the history of our institute, it was started in the form of simple fertilizer trial, and later on the popularly known as the experiment on cultivators field, and it has grown up to the status of Indian Institute of Farming System Research by 2014, and with the component schemes of ACRP on integrated farming systems and also All India Network Program on organic farming. In both the schemes, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University is also part, and they are also contributing significantly at the national level through these research programs. And we have four research themes: these IFS, Integrated Farming Systems and Cropping Systems Resource Management. These two are addressed through our ACRP IFS, while this Organic Agriculture System and Natural Farming is addressed through the All India Network Program on Organic Farming. And all these practices are considered to be the sustainable agriculture practices for providing a sustainable livelihood to the future generations. And if you see the global level, there are agroecological based farming systems, or the agroecological farming based principles are getting momentum due to the ill effects caused by the conventional agriculture system, wherein more amount of synthetics were used for the fertilizers, pesticides, or even seed. Many of the crop seeds are sold by these multinational companies, and for which is small and for marginal farmers they cannot afford. So under this context, in the global level, this agroecological farming is getting momentum, and it was agreed that at the global level there are 10 strategies. If any production system, if that system addresses these 10 strategies, or it includes these 10 strategies, then that is considered to be the agroecology based farming. These are very important and well known strategies, that is enhancing the soil organic matter continuously, then maintaining the diversified field borders, then minimizing the tillage, minimum disturbance to the soil, then harvesting of the each and every drop of water from the rainfall, as well as through the applied irrigation water, then integrating the livestock component, be it the cattle or cow or even goat or any other, that is done in the integrated farming systems, and also including the cover as well as the legume crops as intercrops or in the crop rotation mandatorily, then maintaining the polycultures, agroforestry, then developing a habitat which benefits the insects for control of the pest and diseases which is occurring on the particular plants, and more importantly the active soil biology. Any production system which addresses this all these 10 strategies, which includes these 10 strategies, they are considered as the agroecology based farming. And in India, this is being promoted in the form of different ways, like organic farming, natural farming, integrated farming system, regenerative agriculture, and also integrated this farming systems, conservation agriculture. So these are all the certain practices or the production systems through which agroecological based farming is being promoted in India. And globally, if you see organic farming, about 76.4 million hectares under organic farming. It is practiced in more than almost 190 countries now. And out of 3.7 organic farmers involved in the organic farming at the global level, 44%, that is major share of farmers are in India. It is mainly because of the small and marginal, and the market for the organic farming is also growing in a leaps and bounds. It is about 124.8 billion euros, which is current global organic market. It is estimated for current year. And then if you look at the India's organic growth during the initial years, that is 2003-4, wherein our national program for organic production standards were notified, where we started with only 58,000 hectare, or the 0.58 lakh hectare. So now we have reached in 2023, we have reached about 53.91 lakh hectares. So that means there is a 92-fold increase from the 2003-4, which indicates that more and more farmers are coming to adopt these agroecological strategies in the form of organic farming, as well as the more consumer awareness, also the income enhancement of the population, also driving this demand for these organic producers in our country. If you see the last 8 years annual growth rate is, it is growing at the rate of 20%, more than 20%, about 23.5%. The area is increasing every year under organic farming, and export is also increasing every year. So that means the farmers, the income can be enhanced very easily by the promotion of the organic farming. And if you see at the global level, it is only 1.6% of the net cultivated area is under organic farming. But with the current efforts of the government in different schemes, the area under organic farming has increased to about 4% of the net cultivated area currently. Currently, it is 4% of the net cultivated area is under organic farming. And out of total area in global level, India's share is only 4.7%. And recently, if you see, the government has launched several schemes during the last 4 to 5 years, which includes the Namami Gange program, wherein the Ganges, Ganga basin is there. In both sides of the river, 5 kilometer stretches, the organic farming, natural farming, chemical-free farming practices were promoted. So that was one of the significant contributor for the area increase. The second important area is the Paramparagath Krishi Vikas Yojana. That is a promotion of the Indian traditional farming systems, through which also the more number of states were also covered, and that also contributed for significant improvement in area under organic farming. And the third important scheme, which was launched for the exclusively for the northeastern region, wherein low amount of chemical fertilizers are used and potential for diversity of the crops are there. So there, this mission organic value chain development for the northeastern region was launched, and that has helped for increasing the area under organic farming. Then the farmers were facing the major problem of marketing of their producers, because farmers, although they are growing organic producers, when they go to the common market, they sell in the same price with that of the conventional systems. Whereas for to address this particular issue also, the government has come out with the online marketing of inputs as well as the products. There is a Jaivik Kheti portal. You can also search in that, say jaivikkheti.in. That is the portal in which any farmer who is having the certificate of PGS or third party can get it registered, and they can sell their produce directly to the customers. And at the same time, they can also, any agency who is producing the organic inputs also, so they can also register, and they can also sell their inputs, organic inputs in terms of compost or biobotanicals. That can also be sold directly to the farmers also. So this connectivity is there. And in organic farming, the major issue is the transition period. During the initial 3 years period, there is a yield loss happens. But this yield loss is happening in the high intensive areas where the high input usage is there. Whereas in many of the areas where the input is not used, like tribal areas, rainfed areas, hilly areas, islands, these regions are not using much of the chemicals or the pesticides. So in order to recognize those areas as the organic farming area, government has introduced the large area certification also. And within 1 year also, they can move to the complete organic farming, and they can get the benefits of all the premium price. Then the second point, the natural farming. This is another production system which is also promoted equally with the top there. This organic farming. Here, if you see, our natural farming is mostly the on-farm input-based systems using the concoctions which are prepared from the livestock component for the nutrient management, and also the botanical preparations which are prepared from the pest repellent plants. So this is the two major components. Apart from that, the proven agronomic practices such as intercropping, mulching, as well as the other trap cropping, integrated pest management, all those inputs which are available in the online. And so far, the area covered or area under organic farming is reported to be 4.09 lakh hectare. And government is going to start from the April national mission on natural farming with a total budget outlay of 1,584 crores, in which the core research component is also kept. for about 38 crores. So now it is revised to 27 crores. And in that, there are possibility for the competitive research grants also. It is there up to 60 lakhs. And our institute is the nodal institute. And that competitive research grants also, it will be given for the natural farming research, both at on station as well as in the farmers field also. So these are all the some of the initiatives of the central government. Now if you want to compare, what is that, this question is always asked, what is the difference between the organic and the natural farming in terms of concept or in terms of practices which we use in the both the production systems. If you see in the concept, the natural farming is mostly the on-farm inputs. Without, you cannot bring any inputs from the outside. For your nutrient management, for your pest management, everything you have to manage within the boundary of the farm. So this is the basic concept through which this natural farming concept has emerged, and also it is being promoted. While the organic farming at the international standards and also our standards, national standards for organic production, allows the off farm inputs. So that means you can, organic farming also encourages the use of on farm inputs. If any farmer or anybody who is not able to meet the requirement of the nutrients or requirement of the pest and disease management, so they can purchase or they can use the inputs as per the standards from the outside the farm also. So this is the concept wise, this is the major difference between the natural farming and organic farming. And in case of seed treatment practices, if you see the major practices, seed treatment in natural farming, only bija mirth, that is the product which is prepared from the undisturbed soil, cow dung, cow urine, and the pulse flow, and that is used for the treating the seeds to suppress the seed-borne pathogens and also enhance the seed germinability. So this is the only material which is used for seed treatment. Whereas in case of organic farming, you can use all type of biocontrol agents and also the biofertilizers also for the seed treatment. So this is the seed treatment. This is the difference. And in case of nutrient management, especially for the nutrient mineralization or the nutrient supply from the soil, in the natural farming, the mostly the agronomic practices like mulching, intercropping for the nitrogen fixation, and also application of Jivamrit once in 15 days, and also the Ganajivamrit as a basal dose. So these are all the sources for the nutrient supply through the natural farming. Whereas the organic farming, you can use all kind of inputs starting from the vermicompost, biofertilizers, enriched compost, non-edible oil cakes, all those things are also allowed. So you may ask, the question may come in your mind, why this is not allowed in the natural farming, why it is not, it is being allowed in the organic farming. Basically, the main aim of this natural farming is originally, it was referred as do nothing farming or the Fukuoka method of farming, one star revolution, and later on in India, it was referred as the zero budget natural farming. Then it changed to the Subhas Palekar natural farming. Then BPKP, Bharatiya Prakriti Khetipati. And finally, it has landed in the natural farming, only simple word of natural farming. And here, why this is so called, why they are not allowing the other inputs under the natural farming is to reduce the paid out cost, especially the paid out cost on account of the purchased inputs for the farmers in terms of fertilizers or in terms of organic manures or in terms of biopesticides, in terms of fertilizer, pesticides, weedicides, etc. So this is the main aim of reducing the paid out cost. The natural farming does not allow the other inputs, outside inputs for the this one. And in case of plant protection, these natural farming depends mainly on these neem seed kernel extract or the neemastar, brahmastar, agniastar, dasperni, buttermilk. These are all pest repellent plant or the plant-based concoctions preparations which are prepared using the leaves, cow urine, as well as the some of the mixture of the different type of plants, the 10 to 12 different types of plants. These are mainly used for the management of the pest and diseases. And in both natural farming and organic farming, till now, the management of pest and diseases of prophylactic in nature. That means prophylactic in nature, prevention is prevention method. So every 15 days, it is recommended to spray these botanicals on the this one on the plants in the natural farming. While in the organic farming, all kind of inputs we are allowing, like biopesticides are there. There are many of the trichogramma species, trichoderma, everything is allowed under the organic farming, whereas this promotes the only the native and on-farm input based in pest and disease management. And with respect to standards and certification, as of now, although the standards are prepared for these standards and certification system is prepared for the natural farming, it is not yet notified by the government of India. So as of now, it is not there. But the committee was there, and we have already submitted the recommendation. I think soon it may come also natural farming standards and certification systems. But organic farming, we have a standards and also the systems which are having the equivalent with the USDA and also European Union, Switzerland. So that is why we are able to export our produce. The farmer who is producing the some products from the natural farming, they cannot export now. They can only sell in the local market. Whereas if the organic farmer gets the certification and the third party, they can sell it to the international market also. Then coming to the research status, just I will briefly tell. Uh, we have some 4 or 5 major programs under the organic farming. We have almost characterized 4,800 farmers, how they are doing the organic farming, what type of practices they are doing, what is the problem they are facing. So in order to set the research agenda, also we have developed a package of practices for 72 cropping systems, then integrated organic farming system model also to reduce the external inputs, external organic inputs, and model value chain is also initiated and capacity building of the farmers, extension agents, and all those things. If you analyze the yield gap between the farmers organic package and also the scientifically developed organic package, the farmers, due to the lack of awareness and also the knowledge, the yield gap is ranging from 10% to the more than 50% in different crops. So here also the yield gap is more in the Rabi season compared to the Kharif and also the summer season. And it is because of the soil climatic conditions which restricts the microbial activity during the, especially during the Rabi season or October, November, December month, especially in the northern India and also the western parts of the India. Then just to give a glimpse of this, which type of crops we should prefer for the organic farming. Basically, we evaluated multiple crops in different cropping systems across all the locations, and we found there is a significantly better yield or significant comparable yield in many of the crops which is grown during the Kharif and summer season. But whereas in the Rabi crop like wheat, which is grown during the October, November, December, then mustard, lentil, even after 5 to 6 years of period also, there is a marginal yield reduction up to 6 to 7%, which is not coming on par with that of the integrated or the conventional crop protection systems. When we analyze this, the major constraint which has come in the Rabi crops is the whatever the inputs we are applying it as the basal dose, it is not matching with the nutrient demand of the crops due to the reduced microbial activity and also the reduced lower soil temperature. So what strategy we have adopted in those Rabi season is strict application of the organic manures that has also helping to bridge this particular yield gap with the well decomposed readily releasing compost materials can be added as the top dressing for the Rabi crops, but for Kharif and summer crops these are not required. And among the different cropping systems also, these coarse rice or basmati rice, soybean based system, these are requiring the giving the better yield ratio under the organic production system compared to the towards organic or the integrated production systems, whereas the vegetable based system was performing under the towards organic approach. Towards organic is nothing but your integrated crop management comprising of the integrated nutrient management, integrated weed management, integrated water management, and also the integrated pest management. So if you practice all these four, this is called as the integrated crop management, and that is called as that is referred at the national level as the towards organic approach, wherein we gradually reduce the chemicals or synthetics in the farming. Because all of a sudden the synthetics are reduced, there is a chance of yield loss, heavy yield loss for the farmers. Then in case of net returns, also we found that the coarse rice, basmati, soybean based systems gave the better yield. But although vegetables performed better under the towards organic approach, the quality of the vegetables in terms of vitamin C, if you see, the organic system is having the significantly better vitamin C quantity compared to the other two systems. And in case of natural farming also, we are working on different locations. Eight major cropping systems we are working currently, and we are almost in the fourth year of our experimentation. Apart from our experiments, there are certain other institutes also, they have conducted the natural farming research in the larger scale. And you must have also heard or studied this natural farming means we have to use only the cow dung and cow urine of only the native breed of the native breed only. But in our study at multiple locations and also the analysis done for the breed population and also the characterization, other characterization of these inputs, this Jivamar prepared using the different breeds like native breed, then HF, and many of the farmers are having the both HF and also the native breed together. We cannot ask them to keep the animals separately and collect the dung and urine separately. So they will have to go for the mixture of this and then they will prepare these inputs. So what our study clearly indicates that there is not significant differences found in terms of microbial population in for bacteria, fungi or actinomycetes, and also in terms of performance of applied the application of these inputs onto the crops. So we can advise the farmers very easily that if cow dung is available, if native breed is available, it is well and good. If it is not available, they can also use the dung and urine of HF as well as for the mixture of that also for preparing these inputs. Then if you see the results of these experiments, uh, we although we have tested in the 8 cropping systems, the low nutrient requiring cropping systems like soybean based cropping system, soybean plus maize, vegetable pea plus coriander, that was tested exclusively for the hilly areas like Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and Sikkim, wherein we found it is a comparable yield with the top the organic farming or with the top the your integrated crop management practice. It is mainly on account of the low nutrient requirement of this crop and also the soybean having the high spreading capacity. So the weed population was very low in this field compared to the other cropping systems. Similarly, the cowpea, maize, groundnut, sesame and fennel cauliflower system, which was tested in the western part of the country like Ajmer, SK Nagar as well as the Udaipur situation. Here also comparable yield was obtained because of presence of the intercropping. Because in natural farming, intercropping is mandatory, mulching is also mandatory, application of these concoctions is also mandatory. And this cassava based system also we have tested at CTCRA and very comparable yield. Whereas if you see go for the cereal based system under the natural farming, this rice, turmeric, maize and cotton based systems, cotton based system is also evaluated in here Coimbatore as well as at the Dharwad under rainfed condition and here at the irrigated condition. Here what we found is the there is a significant yield loss. Although the cost of cultivation is reducing under natural farming, the yield loss is so heavy, so that is not compensating for the better net returns of this cropping system. But with respect to cotton, the rainfed system is performing, whereas the irrigated system is very low in terms of yield. And in nutshell, what I want to convey, although the strict natural farming prohibits the use of farmyard manure, vermicompost, or any addition of any other inputs. But the farmers, which we have characterized, natural farming farmers also we have characterized, so they are using all kind of inputs. Although it is only from their own farm, they are adding farmyard manure also, they are adding vermicompost also, enriched compost, whatever the available materials also, they are adding apart from those 4 core pillars of the natural farming. Then many all of you must agree with me, nitrogen is having the direct correlation with that of the yield. Once you alter the nitrogen supply to the crops, always the yield gets changed, altered. So we just estimated what is the nitrogen supplying capacity of these natural farming practices, and with the direct addition of this Jivamrit applied twice in a month at the rate of 500 liters per hectare, as well as the Ganjivamrit at the rate of 250 kg per hectare. So this can supplement only 9% of the nitrogen, whereas the Jivamrit, which is having the microbial population, when it is added into the soil, there is a nitrogen fixers, phosphorus solubilizers, and potassium solubilizing bacteria. These try to contribute for the fixation of the atmospheric nitrogen, and that can supplement the nitrogen to the crop at to the level of 13% only. And mulching with the crop residues, and also the cover crop, legume intercropping, all these can contribute another 9 and 24% respectively. Since the farmers are adding 32% and also the 12% through the azola and farmer manure is added by the farmers, about 32% of the nitrogen can be met through farmer manure and 12% can be this one. So then what I want to highlight here is, when you are depending only on the core practices of the natural farming, that is your application of these concoctions, intercropping, mulching, and also the cover cropping, etc. So this can supplement only 70% of the nitrogen to the crops. Still, your crop is going to deficient by the 30%. And basically, that 30% gap is altering the yield level of the crops. So, in order to bridge this 30% gap and also to develop the soil during the initial transition period, we need to apply the more and more amount of organic manures under the natural farming also, maybe within the farm, if not brought from the outside, within the farm we should apply. Also, we need to go for the systems approach like crop rotation, leguminous crop intercropping, and promotion of this green manures or the multivariate cropping, etc. And in case of natural farming, during summer period, multivariate cropping is practiced, whereas in organic farming, normally the green manure crop or the land is left fallow under the during the summer period. But in natural farming, multivariate cropping is mandatory during the summer period. Multivariate cropping is nothing but mixture of the cereal, pulses, oil seeds, and also the green manure fibers. These seeds should be mixed and then put on the sown on the field, broadcasted on the field. And when we have the varied CN ratio biomass onto the field, so that will have the long lasted release of the nutrients from the soil during the decomposition process. And in Angru also, some studies were conducted on this rice, red gram, and foxtail millet, and the results indicates that over a period of time there is a increase in yield under the natural farming systems. And the another important demonstration which we conducted under ACRPIFS in coastal districts, this clearly indicates that when we talk about the organic farming or the natural farming, the moment it is coming to our mind is that, see, this is going to reduce the yield and this will not be benefit the farmers and all those things. Here I want to tell you the different perspective. See, when we demonstrated this natural farming in a Vijayanagaram district, that is a coastal district, the Vijayanagaram district with all advanced scientific practices, if you adopt the best management packages, the yield is 5.3 tons in rice black gram system. But the district productivity is 2.3 tons only. 2.3 tons only. There is a yield gap of 2 tons, almost 2 tons per hectare yield gap is there. That is due to the technology adoption gap. It may be due to the varieties, or it may be due to the non-application of these herbicides, non-adoption of these fertilizers, all the recommended agronomic practices. So still, even though there is a lot of development, still many things have developed, but still this yield gap is there. But when we demonstrated this natural farming, which was done at the farmers field by their own this one, without purchasing any inputs, they have got the yield of 3.2 tons. Although it is significantly lower than the best management practice, but it is more than the district average productivity. So average productivity, if it is 2.3 ton, so that means many farmers or many farms are getting lower than the 2.3 tons vector also. So in those areas, if we promote this type of alternative systems, there is a possibility for the additional production as well as the reduction in the cost of cultivation also on account of the paid out cost. Also, some of the additional agroecological benefits which will happen due to the organic or the natural farming is the improved soil organic carbon. We have seen almost on all the systems there is a significant improvement in soil organic carbon. Once soil organic carbon is improved, you have the improved water holding capacity. Once your improved water holding capacity is there, always your electricity bill comes down. So there are many advantages due to the improved soil organic carbon. Then the microbious biomass carbon and also the soil enzymes also we have studied. All these were enhanced under the organic as well as the natural farming. And as I told, this is the, like you can see this particular photograph. This is from the Green Revolution area, that is from the Punjab, wherein high amount of fertilizers are used in the rice wheat cropping systems. You can see the simultaneously we have field under organic and also inorganic system. By seeing the color of the soil itself, you can differentiate which soil is having the good quality and how much is suitable for the crop productivity or crop production in the long run. So this way, also the residue cover which we are putting under the natural farming also helps for the circulation of the water to the deeper layers, and during the drought period it can come up and then it can supply to the crops also. There are many advantages which is happening due to this ground cover and also the improved soil organic carbon and water holding capacity. Some of the other key agroecological benefits of organic and natural farming also we have quantified. And if you see the biodiversity, which is one of the important factor to reducing the pest and disease incident, and also increasing the sustainability, increasing the social equity and all those things. And we studied this PKVY clusters, or this Indian traditional farming system implemented clusters in 5 districts of Uttar Pradesh, wherein we found this organic farming interventions has helped to improve the agrodiversity in all the districts. And also these management practices which are favoring for the this below ground diversity also, both the above ground as well as the below ground diversity has increased significantly due to this alternative production systems. Then the another important point is resilience to climate change. So how we can quantify this resilience to climate change is that we had this 20 years long-term experiment across 20 locations. We simply took this long-term data and also the long-term meteorological data. We just classified all the years into three categories: normal rainfall year, deficit rainfall year, and also a high rainfall period. In each of these period, how the different production systems has performed, we simply analyzed by using the 20 years data. And we compared this organic and integrated crop management systems with that of the conventional system. Here you can see during the high rainfall period and deficit rainfall period, the yield gain under the organic farming is more compared to the inorganic system, and even towards organic approach is having only the 5.8% gain. So that means the promotion of this organic farming not only helps for the improving the soil health in the long run, it also helps for the climatic aberrations management also this can be done. And this analysis we have done for many crops. I am just presenting here for soybean and wheat crop. Then another important agroecological benefit is the reduced environmental impact. There are two kind of theories are there with respect to the environmental emissions or the greenhouse gas emission from the organic farming. One theory says that there is a, due to the organic farming addition, more amount of livestock is required, and when we add more amount of livestock due to the enteric fermentation, there will be a huge amount greenhouse gas emission will be there. This is the one theory. The another theory is the another theory is during the transition period we will be getting a lower yield. and in order to feed the population we need a additional area. So by converting more area into agriculture also, there will be an increase in the greenhouse gas emission. And the third important which is supporting for the greenhouse gas emission is at the individual level. At the individual level, if you analyze the, due to the more amount of carbon sequestration in the form of recycling process and also in terms of residue conservation, there is a low greenhouse gas emission or the global warming potential. These are very well documented. You can see here 3 to 29.4% reduction in the global warming potential under the various organic management options compared to the conventional farming practices. This is also documented because as a scientist, what is our role should be to improve the yield during the transition period and also address some of the management constraints that we need to address in a significant way. Also, this organic farming and also the natural farming also leads to the 25 to 30% reduction in the energy use, also energy use in terms of fossil fuel use and also the other energy use which is happening in the agriculture. Then normally I think students or teachers here, they measure the sustainability in terms of two indices. That is, either you calculate sustainable yield index or the sustainable value index. Sustainable yield index, simply you are taking yield, and then for sustainable value index you are simply taking the net returns. But when you talk about the sustainable livelihood or sustainability, it is not only the yield or the, it is not only the economics which influences the sustainability. It is having the three dimensions. How your practice or your production system is ecologically sustainable, and how it is providing the social equity and also the economic efficiency. So we need to combine these three dimensions in the sustainability analysis, and for which we have come out with a methodology, that is sustainable livelihood security index analysis. And this can be applied in the any production practice. It may be IFS, it can be in the common experiment also, or also in the natural farming, organic farming also. This detailed methodology is published in the last year, Land Degradation and Development. So you can refer this journal for the methodology, Sustainable Livelihood Security Index. And this is taking into consideration of ecological security, how it is providing, how much it is providing, and what parameters you need to consider for the ecological security. And then economic efficiency, because always we talk only about the net return or the net income or the gross income. So we need to consider the economic, for rupee invested, how much is we are getting. So that is the efficiency we need to consider. And then social equity, because for while promoting these some alternative production systems, how this is helping the different social groups, marginal farmers, small farmers, or the other categories of the low resource farmers, high resource farmers. So how this is helping the social categories of the farmers. So when we consider this three dimensional analysis in the sustainability, then we can say that whether the conventional system is better or organic farming systems is better. When you simply look at per hectare yield, then organic farming will be always lower in the irrigated systems or the intensive areas and many of the crops also. But when you look at these three angles, then you come out with some conclusions. Then always the organic farming is better in terms of ecological security and also the overall sustainable livelihood security index also, compared to the conventional systems. Then once we move to the organic farming or the natural farming, there are four types of situation arises. First situation is, you are promoting the organic farming in a low input areas where the not much chemical fertilizers are used, not much chemical pesticides are used. These areas are like tribal areas, hilly areas, and also the rainfed areas. So in these areas, if these alternate production systems are promoted, then there will not be any yield drop. There is a increase in slow increase in the yield during the transition period, and after the transition period it stabilizes. So absolutely there is no problem. But when these practices are promoted in the high intensive, high input areas, then three type of situation we have observed based on our experimentation. In one situation, in all the situation, there is a yield drop during the transition period. It is up to 20 to 30% yield drop during the transition period. And after the transition period, in some areas and some crops, the yield always remains lower. It always remains for the lower. In some crops like legumes or some low nutrient requiring crops, it reaches up to the comparable level. But in some crops, those crops which responds positively like basmati rice or many crops, they give the higher yield also. So this type of four situations normally arises when we promote organic or natural farming. So especially in the high input areas, for the lower yield level where after transition period also the yield levels are low. Example, for example, wheat and mustard, which I have highlighted, we should not consider only the benefits of the yield or the economics. We need to work out the ecosystem services. UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, they have come out with a methodology for the ecosystem services estimation and valuation. And these ecosystem services are classified into four capitals. Four capitals. One is the produced capital. Produced capital, it is nothing but what yield we are getting. What yield we are getting and what is the quality of the produce. So this is the two parameters which is considered under the produced capital. Then that is to be added with the natural capital, how these production systems are contributing for the natural capital. And that natural capital can be measured through the in terms of improvement in soil health, water storage, then energy saving, as well as the climate resilience or the carbon sequestration. So these can be quantified and that can be added with the produced capital. And apart from that, you have to add the human capital also, human and social capital. So the human capital is how these organic producers or the natural farming producers are helping for the health of the people, then how much of additional employment this is generating. And there are many pesticides, while spraying the pesticides, many people are exposed to the pesticides and those things, and because of that they are getting so many diseases and this. So we need to quantify that and then we have to value them also and add it in the human capital. This is the methodology available, so you can also refer. And another is the this social capital. Social capital is like paid out cost. How much is the paid out cost is incurred in the organic farming or the conventional system? Then how, what is the social equity? How much it is contributing for the women empowerment and also the recreational or the cultural services. So if we are able to quantify all these capitals, and then after quantification we can add the value, give the value to these all these capitals, then even with the lower yield also the farmers can get the more income, or the country at the country level or state level, regional level, the benefits for the long run, benefits for the society will be much better and much higher under these situations. And we have completed one project. If anybody wants the detailed methodology, we can share also for this ecosystem services estimation and valuation. So finally, to conclude, see, this agroecology based farming, it is very good when we measure all type of benefits which is happening in due to the promotion of these practices. But once you, if you limit only to the yield, then or economics, which is the direct benefit, visible effect to the farmers, visible benefit to the farmers, then it may perform lower, especially in the high input areas. But if you measure value invisible effects, there are many invisible effects I have told. If you measure and quantify and add to that visible effects, this will be the much superior system. So that is why after analyzing careful analysis of this data generated by AI and PYF and also our institute, Niti Aayog has come out with a policy. How much of area we can divert for the organic and natural farming without compromising on the food security. So this is documented and it has been very clearly told, 1/4 of the net cultivated area. So that is about 35 million hectare of net cultivated area, or the 50 million hectare of gross cultivated area, which is about 200 million hectare now. So this can be very safely brought under the chemical free farming. in the form of organic farming or the natural farming, and that will not affect the food security at the country level. And in the report, it was also highlighted, once we convert this area into this type of practices, there will be a cumulative benefits of the ecosystem services, which will also benefit the other conventional farmers also. This is one thing. The national mission on natural farming is also launched by the government of India, will be launched in the next year. And this BSc honors in natural farming course is already designed. Dr. Somasundaram sir was there. Dr. Sugandhi was also there in preparing this course content. And this is already rolled out in 4 central agriculture university. I think in Meghalaya, Himachal Pradesh, as well as in the Sabor, Samastipur and Jhansi. And I think in all the state agriculture universities also it is going to be launched. And apart from this also, I think there is one compulsory course of natural farming is also coming in the existing degree program also. These are all the new developments which is happening in this one. Development programs are also undertaken by the different SAUs and also over this one. And there are 425 KVKs. They are also promoting the natural farming among the farmers. With respect to researchable issues on the organic or the natural farming, basically, currently what we are looking at our research program is the individual household as a unit, and we are doing the research. So that will not serve the purpose when we talk about the ecosystem services or when we talk about the benefits of these agroecological practices. So we need to go for the landscape design for a village or for a cluster of villages. We need to go for the design of agroecology based farming system for the organic and natural farming. And we also need to come out with a new for the pest disease weed management, because the organic farming and natural farming, there is a limitation of availability of the inputs. Like one example I will tell, IASR under our institute, our center at IASR, they have come out with a capsule, ginger rhizobacteria, which is very good and highly effective against the ginger rhizome rot. And this capsule is also very low, and very low quantity needs to be applied along with the irrigation water. So this type of more and more products are need to be developed for the organic and natural farming. Then we also need to think about the farm machinery automation techniques and also the residue detection kits for the organic farming. And finally, these are all some integrated organic farming systems success stories highlighted by the government of India based on the NPOF work at the global level in the UN Climate Change Conference. What I want to convey is organic farming, natural farming, or any other alternative production system, regenerative agriculture, conservation agriculture, everything is good once you measure all the invisible effects. If you depend only on the yield and income, then they will be inferior always, especially in the high input areas. So I would like to conclude our research programs, our education system, everything. We need to move beyond per hectare yield. We should not limit only to the per hectare yield. Thank you.